What up friends, my name is Stan from RandomTens, and with Pokemon Sun and Moon literally just around the corner, now felt like the perfect time to give you guys a video you've all been waiting for. In a lot of ways, it was actually my video on the 10 best shiny Pokemon that helped shift this channel from Smash Bros and Amiibo towards more Pokemon-oriented content, and although a more hasty creator may have made a follow-up right away, I wanted to wait until I had the proper equipment and Pokemon to do a similar video justice. And now that I've gotten both, I think it's the perfect time to finally make a list of my picks for the 10 worst shiny Pokemon ever. Now, for those wondering, the reason I'm not simply waiting a few more weeks and including 7th gen Pokemon is because I'll be making another video directly addressing Sun and Moon shinies before the end of the year, and I figured this would make the perfect send-off as we all get ready for the future of the franchise. So without any more delay, unpack your shiny charm and prepare to be disappointed as we take a look at my take on the top 10 worst shiny Pokemon ever made. Number 10. When it comes to bad shiny Pokemon, one of the main criticisms usually stems from poor color choices, and rightfully so. Finding or breeding a shiny Pokemon is one of the happiest moments for any trainer, so if it turns out that the one you do manage to catch is cursed with a color scheme that would make Elton John blush, then it sort of puts a damper on things. And for me, one of these unsightly horrors is Mr. Mime. Green seems to be the most difficult color for Game Freak to get right when it comes to shinies, usually either making them look like they're radioactive or covered in snot, and this creepy clown is yet another prime example of the latter. Its body actually looks fine, and is probably the reason this psychic type only comes in at number 10, but personally, it's the cheeks that have never sat right with me. They work with its regular magenta palette because it's based on a clown, and they of course wear makeup, so it's fine. But when you make them green, it just sort of makes Mr. Mime look sickly and somehow more disturbing. I'm aware that Gen 1 shinies in particular have a tendency to look either too similar or really odd due to how they were originally programmed, but shiny Mr. Mime looks like it's slowly dying from radiation poisoning, and no Pokemon, shiny or not, should give off those sort of vibes. Number 9. Ever since Gen 5, I feel like Game Freak's taken special care when it comes to creating the looks for shiny Pokemon. In fact, despite me trying my best, I couldn't put a single Gen 6 Pokemon on this list because at the end of the day, there are none that are overly terrible. There are some bad or controversial ones of course, but when it came down to it, me putting anything from Gen 6 in this video would have been out of guilt or balance, and that's not really fair to the truly bad designs spanning the entire series. I can't, however, say the same about Gen 5, and coming in at number 9, we have a pretty controversial choice in Krookodile. All of you picking your jaws up off the ground right now should hear me out before immediately condemning me, because I think I have good reason for including such a beloved Pokemon here. You see, I believe that a great shiny should elevate the current look or theme surrounding a Pokemon, and make them better or at least more pronounced. An example of this would be how Greninja goes from bright blue to black, which makes the whole ninja thing really stand out. Krookodile, however, is based on a bandit, and I'm sorry, but any good criminal doesn't forget their mask at home. I can get behind changing its primary coloring from red to brown, as it actually makes it look more like a crocodile, but I feel like adjusting the black stripes and mask to yellow really hurts the overall design. It makes one of my personal favorite Gen 5 creations appear a lot less intimidating, which undermines the entire look. Although I will say that at least shiny Krookodile stands apart from its traditional design, unlike this next entry. Number 8. I'm not going to dance around this entry because frankly, like its shiny variant, it's just not worth the effort. Both Bidoof and Bibarel are meme-worthy additions to the Pokemon library, and although they may not be spectacular, at least they're memorable for something. Sadly though, I can't say the same thing about their shiny incarnations. In fact, I actually caught a shiny Bibarel in a friend safari while hunting for Eevees, and instead of freaking out, I actually let out a groan, caught the thing, and kept searching for something better. See, there's normally something really cool about catching a shiny version of a super common Pokemon. If you find a shiny Zubat, for instance, you can get a shiny Crobat. If you catch a shiny Hoothoot, you can raise it into a shiny Noctowl just like the one Ash had. But with a shiny Bidoof, the best you can get is a Bibarel with the brightness turned up just a smidge. And for me, and probably many others, this effortless difference is worthy of the number 8 spot. Number 7. What's the only thing better and more memorable than a starter Pokemon? How about a shiny starter Pokemon? As crazy as it sounds, you can either get super lucky or soft reset enough times until that coveted purple Cyndaquil or silver Fennekin is yours. But what happens when a decent shiny starter evolves into an eyesore? Well, for the answer to that, we turn to Serperior. Now, anyone who knows me and this channel knows that I love and have the utmost respect for Snivy. In fact, it's due in part to this smug serpent that I'm even here talking about Pokemon today, so you have to understand how much it pains me to put a creature like Serperior on a list like this. But I'm trying to be objective here, and objectively, I think Serperior is the worst shiny starter we've gotten so far. Besides a few notable exceptions, for the most part, the developers typically play it safe when it comes to shiny starters, usually making them a shade lighter. But for whatever reason, when it came to this grass-type starter, they abandoned that reasoning as it evolved into its disappointing final form. The crimson red eyes are in direct contrast to the yellow-green body, and overall Serperior is a prime example of what happens when you change too many colors on a Pokemon at once. It sort of looks like it's been left out in the sun too long and is beginning to wilt, and regardless of how much I care for this Gen 5 powerhouse, I've gotta be fair, and this is one shiny that deserves its spot. Number 6. At first glance, this next edition would seem like it's featured in this video for the same reasons as Serperior, and honestly, there's a lot going on. But the major reason why Starmie comes in at number 6 is less about what it looks like and is more about what it could have been. I'm normally not one for the hypothetical game, but there's no denying that Staryu's shiny is one of the best to come from Gen 1 with its bright silver body and blue gemstone. So when it comes to its more shapely evolution, I'm left wondering, what happened? Instead of sticking with silver, all of a sudden both its primary color and gemstone become deeper shades of blue, which is admittedly a little boring to look at. But the real issue is the golden ring surrounding the center stone and why on earth it changes to pink. Again, this isn't the worst shiny design out there, but considering the potential its pre-evolution had, I think it's fair to put this tacky starfish in the middle of this list. Starmie had every opportunity to blow us away, and instead let us down harder than Team Rocket hunting a Pikachu, which, in this case, is enough to warrant its number 6 spot. Number 5. So far, minus maybe Bidoof, I've been coming down hard on shinies with terrible color schemes and designs, but it's worth noting that sometimes the most frustrating thing about a shiny Pokemon is when it's barely different at all. From underwhelmers like Glaceon and Shedinja to the legendary shiny Garchomp. For whatever reason, there's always at least a few disappointing shinies from every generation. And for the record, had it not been for its new Magenta Mega, Garchomp would have placed high on this list. But in its absence, there's another fully evolved creature I've always felt doesn't get enough attention, and that's Slacking. I love this normal type Pokemon, even with its behavioral issues, so to me and many other fans, it's a total bummer that its shiny incarnation is just so plain. Its pre-evolution Slackoth doesn't have a great shiny, but at least it is different, whereas its final form opts to change the nose from pink to red, and that's pretty much it. Sure, Slacking's fur does get a smidge darker, but it just sort of sucks that such a Gen 3 favorite has virtually no distinguishing differences at all. And that's the reason why Slacking makes it so much higher than Bidoof, because in my opinion, a bad shiny that people enjoy using is much more upsetting than one that's basically just a meme. And just because a Pokemon may have lazy tendencies, doesn't mean its shiny design should reflect that. Number 4. As I've noted in the past, Dragon Pokemon are some of my all-time favorites, and with both unbelievable power and usually great designs, it's no wonder why. And despite there being a plethora of both good and bad shiny dragons to choose from, for me the worst it gets is the original pseudo-legendary Dragonite. I knew for sure that with its not-so-great green and purple color scheme, it would be here on this list, but I'll admit I had some issues in terms of placement. In a lot of ways, I'd prefer a shiny Dragonite to other beasts like Bidoof and Starmie, but like the latter, I think the reason it makes it so high is due to its wasted potential. Have you ever seen a shiny Dratini or Dragonair? In my opinion, this line is the best in terms of shinies among all Gen 1 Pokemon, so it's a massive disappointment that Dragonite doesn't keep the momentum going. Once again, I know that back then Game Freak didn't manually choose the colors, but come on, at least go with a nicer shade of green when making the transition to 3D. I mean, Dragonite is both one of the most powerful and playful Pokemon ever created, and the choice of primary color in contrast with the little purple wings is a huge step down from its regular palette and simply doesn't do such an iconic Pokemon justice. Number 3. Imagine for a moment the worst possible color combination ever dreamt up by human beings. Now, your mind may immediately think up gross mixtures of grays, browns, and greens, but when it comes to Pokemon at least, these colors tend to actually pair well, especially when it comes to rock or ground types. But you know what doesn't look so good? Literally everything about shiny Aggron. This Gen 3 Steel Rock hybrid has a solid regular design with an extremely safe color scheme, so like me, you probably would have never believed that this somehow turns into this when it comes to its shiny variant. Seriously guys, teal and pink? Admittedly, the blue body works pretty naturally with the secondary white areas, but I'll never understand the pink eyes. Aggron has bold red ones, so how did it get this bad for both its evolutions? I mean, seriously, the poor creature looks like it just went through a college breakup and hasn't slept in 6 months. Sure, it's bold and it's different, but with the gross pink and teal combo, it stands out for all of the worst reasons, and even its jump to 3D couldn't tone down this colorful monstrosity. Number 2. Question: what was the first shiny Pokemon you ever caught in the wild? I'm sure about 50% of folks will claim all sorts of legendary captures from across every single region, but for a small majority, the answer's still probably the red Gyarados at the Lake of Rage. I know for a fact it was the first in-game shiny I ever saw, although being 7, I killed the thing as quickly as possible because I thought it was a boss or something. My point is, the red Gyarados is the most common and well-known shiny Pokemon in existence, and so catching one in the wild is sort of bittersweet because although it's absolutely awesome and great to use in battle, literally everyone and their uncle who works at Nintendo have one. But you know what's even more disappointing? Running into a shiny Magikarp. This worthless fish Pokemon has a great mythology around it, and whether you're playing Pokemon Red or Pokemon Go, finally evolving one into its monstrous final form is a big achievement. But if you manage to catch a shiny Magikarp, you face the ultimate conundrum. Do you keep it forever as a useless trophy in your PC box, since it has virtually no battling skills? Or do you evolve it into yet another red Gyarados with the knowledge that millions have already caught one, making your odds-defying favorite catch feel unimpressive? Now, obviously, a less prideful player picks the latter option, but for many, catching a shiny Pokemon is a massive deal. They feel like they have a very special addition to their team that very few others can claim, and it's usually a highlight from any playthrough. In this way, capturing a shiny Magikarp, especially if it's the only shiny you've ever encountered, is more of a curse than a blessing. Gleeful cheers of excitement quickly dissolve into apathy when players realize what it means, and for often being more trouble than it's worth, Magikarp is, in my opinion, the most disappointing shiny a player can catch. However, there's still one more that I think is somehow even worse. Number 1. So at this point, we've seen ugly designs, boring designs, and designs that waste all of the potential in the world. But what could be worse than any of those things? Well, how about a Pokemon that in some ways embodies all 3 of those issues? And guess what? It's not even from Gen 1. In my own opinion, Tranquil is objectively the worst looking and most disappointing of all shiny Pokemon. But before you grab your pitchforks, allow me to explain. As a Pidoof, this Gen 5 evolutionary line starts brilliantly, opting for a subtle shade of blue. But as soon as it evolves, it becomes one of the ugliest shiny Pokemon throughout every region. Game Freak already has a reputation for its awful green shinies, but Tranquil suffers because it's got not one, but 2 horrible shades of this vomit-inducing color. Throw in the magenta feet and eyes, and you've got a creature that looks like the Grinch in heavy makeup, and a far departure from its pre-evolution sensible roots. However, despite being such an eyesore, there is some good news, as Tranquil does still have an evolution, and in my opinion, Unfezant actually has a really awesome shiny form. Unless, of course, it's female. In which case, its body goes from mud brown to... well, I'll let you guys finish the metaphor in your heads. And the saddest part is, even though this shade of brown is much worse, In general, female and pheasant is almost the exact same, just a slightly brighter variant. So yeah, unless you're fortunate enough to run into a male Bidoof, your options are either vomit green or boring brown, and in a world where shinies are supposed to feel exciting and special, female Tranquil represents the exact opposite, and deserves to be called the worst shiny in Pokemon's long history. At least until Gen 7. Well, there you have it, my picks for the top 10 worst shiny Pokemon ever made. Controversial? You bet. But I feel like most of my picks did have solid reasoning behind them, though if you disagree, make sure you leave your choices in the comment section below. Before I wrap this video up, I want to give major shoutouts to Wetzel, Zane, and David for honestly making this video possible. Without them getting me these shiny Pokemon, this would have been a totally different video. So guys, thank you so much for your contribution, it really means a lot. Next time, we'll finally be delving into the Alola region, so follow us on Twitter for news and updates on that, and as I always say, happy hunting, baby rhinos. Peace. Hey guys, Stan here, and if you're like me, you probably can't believe that Pokemon Sun and Moon are coming out tomorrow. After almost a year of hype, and for some reason a brand new trailer almost weekly, it's finally time for us to pack our bags and explore Alola, and like any good Pokemon YouTuber, I'll be making the channel full Sun and Moon content for the next week and a half. Expect videos sometime this week on my favorite and least favorite Pokemon from the Alolan region, as well as a first reaction review sometime this weekend. On top of that, I'll be doing a live Let's Play of Pokemon Sun on Friday, November 18th at 5 PM Eastern Standard Time, and playing for hours. No, seriously, like I'll probably be going till 5 in the morning, so please make sure you stop by and check up on me. Anyways, I hope you're as excited as I am for these brand new games, and I hope you're looking forward to Sumo Week here on Random Tens.